Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a massive dilemma for those of us braving these famously harsh Illinois winters while trying to keep our utility bills in check. We're talking about the big choice: upgrading to a combi boiler versus sticking with a traditional furnace. It's a huge decision, and honestly, getting it wrong can cost you a lot of money.
Let me ask you something that hits right at your wallet. Does buying a box with a super high efficiency rating printed on the side actually guarantee lower heating bills? Well, the reality is, it absolutely doesn't. Efficiency isn't just some static number. It changes entirely depending on the system itself and your home's unique setup. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll cover the Illinois heating dilemma, measure true efficiency, look at where combi boilers excel, when furnaces make sense, calculate your real savings, and finally prep you with the exact questions to ask your installer. Let's get right to it.
Section 1. The Illinois Heating Dilemma. We're going to look at the two main heavyweights battling it out in basements and utility closets all across the state. So here's the fundamental difference between your options. A traditional furnace gives you space heating, but you still need a completely separate water heater for your showers. And the kicker? Traditional furnaces frequently waste a ton of energy, literally letting heat escape right up the chimney as exhaust flue gas. Now contrast that with a condensing combi boiler. It tackles both space heating and hot water in one single unit. Even better, it's specifically engineered to capture that escaping exhaust heat that a furnace just wastes, and it turns it into useful warmth for your house.
Moving into Section 2, measuring true efficiency. Because you see, how we actually score these machines is totally different.
So what does condensing actually mean? It sounds incredibly technical, but it's basically magic. The magic happens when the flue gases cool down enough to actually condense water vapor. By capturing that normally wasted exhaust heat and turning it back into fuel energy, combi boilers unlock some serious savings. But, and this is a big but, it relies heavily on your home's operating conditions actually allowing that condensation to happen in the first place.
This brings us to a crucial point. Furnaces typically earn their high ratings through steady performance under very specific, highly controlled test conditions. Boiler efficiency, on the other hand, that wildly fluctuates. Its performance depends almost entirely on the real-world conditions inside your house, especially the temperature of the water returning to the boiler and whether your home is actually set up for lower temperature heating. You can't just slap a sticker on it and call it a day. You really have to look at the whole system.
All right, Section 3, where combi boilers excel. Let's look at exactly where a combi boiler absolutely knocks it out of the park.
A combi boiler is basically the heavyweight champ when it leverages three specific things. First, that higher effective heat recovery we talked about, squeezing every last drop of heat from the exhaust. Second, using one appliance for two needs drastically reduces standby and distribution losses. Basically, you lose way less heat while the system is just sitting idle or traveling through your pipes. And third, better control. When you pair these with outdoor reset controls, which are smart sensors that tweak water temps based on the weather outside, the boiler can cruise in its most efficient sweet spot for much longer stretches.
So how does this actually play out for you? Well, if your household goes through a ton of hot water, say you've got a large family, a multi-occupant home, or just a lot of simultaneous showers and laundry going on, the combi approach is a real game changer. Matching that heavy hot water demand to one highly efficient unit simplifies everything and absolutely maximizes those savings.
But hold your horses, because Section 4 is all about when furnaces make sense. Condensing combi boilers aren't a magic bullet for every single house.
Actually, a traditional furnace paired with a good water heater might be your absolute best bet if your home checks certain boxes. For instance, if your house is older and already optimized for higher supply temperatures, like your standard forced air setups, a furnace fits like a glove. It's also super competitive if your duct insulation and air sealing are already top-notch, meaning your distribution losses are low. Add in a limited demand for hot water and careful sizing to avoid short cycling. You know, when the unit constantly kicks on and off and wastes massive amounts of fuel, and the reliable veteran furnace remains an incredibly strong choice.
And hey, we cannot forget where we live. Our long Illinois heating seasons and brutal cold snaps totally change the math. First up is your home's envelope, meaning your air sealing and insulation. A tight envelope lowers your overall heating demand, so any system you pick is going to save you more. Fuel type is huge too, since combis really shine with natural gas. And finally, your weatherization and control strategy, like those outdoor reset sensors, dictate if a condensing system will actually maintain those highly efficient water temperatures. Let's pivot to Section 5, calculating your real savings. Time to get practical and figure out if upgrading is actually going to shrink that utility bill.
Look, every house is a unique puzzle, so you can't just trust the equipment specs blindly. You need a credible estimate. By following these 4 steps, you get a reliable picture based on your home's actual physical reality. 1. Check your utility bills for your current fuel consumption. 2. Evaluate your heating load with a proper heat loss calculation. That's a precise measurement of exactly how much heat escapes your specific house. 3. Check system compatibility. Are we talking radiators, radiant floors, or ducted air? And 4. Get a realistic assessment of your peak hot water usage.
All right, final stop, Section 6, asking the right questions. Because now that you are armed with this knowledge, you need to know exactly how to talk to your HVAC contractor.
This quote right here is basically the golden rule of this entire explainer. Avoid paying for efficiency on paper that doesn't translate into your actual utility bill. Seriously, do not just buy a fancy rating that evaporates the second it's hooked up to an incompatible house. Buy a system that fits the physical realities of your specific building.
I highly recommend taking a screenshot of this checklist right now, because asking your contractor these 5 specific questions ensures you're getting the real deal. Ask them directly, how are you sizing this to my specific heat loss estimate? Will my actual operating temperatures even support condensation? Are outdoor reset and zoning included? How are we balancing the hot water versus space heating comfort? And what exact commissioning steps will you take to verify the flow rates and controls are working as designed? Illinois homes that nail these specific details are the ones cashing in on those massive condensing benefits. The bottom line is that your savings come from the equipment and the building working together in perfect harmony. You absolutely must prioritize a full, system-level evaluation covering heat loss, controls, plumbing, and duct design. Seeing the whole picture is literally what turns those theoretical efficiency ratings into actual dollars saved in your bank account.
So, I want you to take a look at your basement, pull out those recent utility bills, and ask yourself this final question. Is your home's heating setup truly optimized to work for you, or is your hard-earned money just floating up the flue as wasted exhaust heat? Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I hope this helps you make the absolute best choice for your home.